PepsiCo saw this and said, oh my gosh, we need to use this. So they put together a team that included some professional Minecraft creators and of course their Lean Six Sigma team. They put together an entire simulation that is taking place in a customized Minecraft world that is a PepsiCo warehouse simulation thing, and they're all playing that remotely, and that is the way they do their training for Lean Six Sigma now.
In this video, I'll unpack the wide variety of interactive videos in the market today. Plus, I'll give you a behind-the-scenes look at two of my own interactive video projects. Let's jump right into my conversation with Sandhya Lakhanpal of Redefine Instruction.
You've done a YouTube series or episode on the 10 different types of interactive videos, just to showcase the entire spectrum of the different types of interactive stories. What are the different types that you have designed or is in the market at the moment?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, within, for instance, the types of interactive videos that I design, there are three types. There's the live video type, which I described, where there's pre-existing video. There's animated, vyond is the method I use, and you've got either the business-friendly characters or the more streamlined contemporary characters. And then there's what I actually don't have storyline characters as one of my portfolio pieces. I just don't do those generally, but I could, I guess, if I really had to. But so the third type that I do, or that is done, is custom illustrated stories. Those are fabulous. They look so beautiful because you hire, basically what I've done is I've hired a professional illustrator to illustrate the story. So it has a very custom design feeling to it. You can create any environment that reflects the actual organization because it's being designed by an illustrator. So those are three types of interactive stories right there. And then another type would be, this is not necessarily in my top 10 list, but it's just a type that I want to mention because I think it's going to be prevalent, is that the ones that are used for marketing, they're more basically, ads, basically. They're shoppable ads, okay? So shoppable ads is a type of story that is a very small, you're not going to hear that whole story arc. It's a small ad, but it shows some kind of a nice emotional interaction, and then you get the opportunity to purchase what the character is wearing. I buy that guy's coat, right? So although that's not really I don't classify that as an interactive story from a training development standpoint, but I want to mention it because I think there are people who are in the marketing field that need to know that this new type of interactive shoppable ad is going to be huge. In the future, that is the way. I think that interactivity is going to become the prevalent way that shopping is done. We're so close to it now. So I don't want to ignore that piece. It's just not what I do. But I think that's another piece. There was another one, and this is all coming from, because on my website, I've got this PDF that's like, the 10 top interactive videos,
Right.
And so one of them was, is not really correct to call it an interactive video. It was really a simulation. But this was something that was created by PepsiCo, and it was during the COVID pandemic when it started out. There was a guy, and he was a Lean Six Sigma instructor, and he needed a way to teach his people, which normally is a hands-on workshop experience. He wanted to have them play through the simulation in which they learned Lean Six Sigma principles. Right. And since he couldn't do that because they were all remote, his son said, "Hey, why don't you do something in Minecraft?" And he mocked up a Minecraft simulation. Like the kid put it together in something like 30 hours. PepsiCo saw this and said, oh my gosh, we need to use this. So they put together a team that included some professional Minecraft creators and of course their Lean Six Sigma team. They put together an entire simulation that is taking place in a customized Minecraft world that is a PepsiCo warehouse simulation thing, and they're all playing that remotely, and that is the way they do their training for Lean Six Sigma now.
Wow.
Wow, right?
Yeah.
So it's that's a different, it's not really so much a story as that's a human facilitated, because they're actually human beings who are facilitating this. It's a simulation. Right. But it definitely has a story element to it. You're in a Minecraft world, so this fantasy element, and they are trying to get from a beginning point to an end point, and they're facing challenges along the way. But it allows for collaboration to take place too. So they're working together as teams. So it's team building. Wow. And to me, that was one of the most fascinating types of interactive video that's out there. It's like this different, collaborative hybrid type of I don't know, immersive world environment. So that was me.
Almost like an alternate reality, right?
Almost, yeah. Now, of course, that's not fully immersive. So the other type, I mean, of course, you have, you've got entertainment is a huge field for interactive stories. And you see those, Netflix has the You versus Wild series, they've got Bandersnatch. I mean, you've got more, and that will crop up more and more. But that's purely entertainment. So again, it's not something I do, but it's a type that you need to be aware of and we can borrow from, learn from. But then, of course, the last area that I think is going to become huge is anything that's using AR and VR.
Right.
And that is because already in the gaming industry, that is a known, accepted way to experience some kind of a story. Now, maybe it's a gaming thing, but it's a very short step away to say, well, then we're going to now begin training, doctors. Well, this exists out there right now, how to train doctors or medical professionals, how to put on and take off, the protective equipment.
Right.
That can be a simulation that's done with VR headsets. You're not actually using up the equipment. You're not using any supplies when they're putting masks on and off, but they're learning how to do it in a simulated environment, and it's completely safe.
Right.
And it doesn't use any materials. I mean, how great is that? So those kinds of simulations, I think, are going to become more prevalent in the future. But I would say for the training and development and the typical training that we do as instructional designers, it's not necessary. I mean, unless you're working within an environment that is inherently hazardous, you probably don't, it's probably okay to stick with the 2D methods for now. There's a part of my brain that says, okay, I'm going to keep an eye on that industry, see what's being done. I want to know what's happening and keep an eye on it. But for the work that I actually do, I'm not producing that material because I just don't think that it's called for. So the cost, the investment from the client is not called for.
Right,
I won't sell them sometimes
more. And that's more on the expensive end of
it's oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. So those are the main ones.
Yeah, thank you for sharing them.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of tempted to kind of dissect your war zone and your confident contractor, if you're up for it.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's start with the war zone. Can you, if you were to break it down into different components, because we are seeing once it's all been constructed, we are watching it as this seamless hook, story, interactions, all of it coming together. I want you to kind of pull the curtain behind and dissect the different components of the war zone and what went into constructing it.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So Workplace War Zone, for those that aren't familiar with it, I created it for an organization called EMC Leaders, which stands for Emotional Connection. Okay. And so they have a masterclass that teaches people how to do emotional connection, and it's, kind of leadership development. And they wanted a tool that would get the word out about their masterclass. So we created a interactive story, and this happens to be one that's illustrated and also has professional voiceover for the characters. So it's a very full, it's not cinematic in that, the characters are not moving because they're illustrations, but it has a cinematic feel to it because you actually have characters talking in the video as you play through it. So the way that was constructed, of course, I did my practitioner interviews, talked to the people who actually are coaching, they're certified coaches within the EMC world. I spoke to them about what are the challenges that they face when they work with their clients, and maybe their clients aren't, what are the barriers? Why do people not want to use the emotional connection methodology? For one thing, they're like, what is this list of emotions? That sounds stupid. In their brain, they're thinking this sounds dumb. So when I talked to the illustrator, and I crafted up the different decisions, I had a great time working with the illustrator because I was able to tell her, okay, so when you come to that decision, and the lady's like, the guy this is the boss, he's speaking to his subordinate, Steve is his name, and he's talking to his subordinate. He hands her a sheet that's the list of emotions, which is an actual job aid in the emotional connection methodology. So this is a real thing, and so he hands it to her, and you see this look on her. She's like, and then the speech bubble pops up. What's this for?
Right.
You hear the person actually saying in this kind of sarcastic voice, "What's this for? I don't see how this is going to help."
Yeah.
And that. They may not actually verbalize it, but people think that when they first see this list of emotions, because generally speaking, emotions aren't allowed into the workplace. I mean,
Yes.
people don't
Thinking
talk about
thoughts
it,
and speaking thoughts. Yes.
right? But if you don't address those emotional intelligence issues or those
Right.
emotional connection issues, you miss a huge possibility for engagement and for business results.
Right.
Because people are inhibited because their emotions aren't being addressed. So that's kind of what we're just trying to give them a taste. And I think that's the challenge, is if you play through that interactive story, you're not going to get the full experience of the EMC masterclass. I mean, obviously it's like it's 2 to 3 minutes long, so there's no way. It's a snippet. It's just enough to give you a flavor for what could happen in an organization if you use this product, as opposed to what might happen if you don't. And in the end, if you like kind of choose the non-emotionally intelligent choices, which are typical things like brainstorm solutions is one of the options.
Right.
And normally you would be like, yeah, I'll brainstorm solutions. But if the other choice was to validate her emotions, the person you're speaking to is upset, you validate, I sense that you're feeling uncomfortable. Do you want to, tell me about that? That's a chance to validate an emotion, as opposed to, hey, let's brainstorm solutions.
Right.
So if you choose the brainstorm solutions and you choose things like it for too long, at the end, Steve, the boss, loses his job because the project is like screwed up and sales are down and his whole team has quit. I mean, so the consequence at the end of that's an alternate ending. He loses his job and he's like, oh, what did I do wrong? Right. And then you have the opportunity to download a PDF, 5 tips to, increase your emotional intelligence. And it goes on from there and eventually leads you to having an opportunity to purchase the masterclass. And of course, if you do well, he wins, Employee of the Year award at the end.
Yeah.
So there's middle ground too. So that was the way Workplace Warzone was. It was a very interesting project because it was different mediums to work in.
Yes.
Not every client wants that. I mean, you don't have to have voiceover and professional illustrations. It's cool when you do. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the budget also depends on the budget, right?
That's exactly it. Yeah. So not most clients, they'll look at it and they're like, oh, that looks really cool. I wish I could do that. But then they choose Vyond because Vyond is cheaper.
Right. Yeah. Everything
simpler.
comes pre-built in that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let's talk about Confident Contractor, because that was a live video, right? So can you dissect the components of that one for me?
So Confident Contractor it's based around a company that has contractors that have to be trained up to meet the standards that the company expects. And so it was actually a regular training video that was produced in which the trainer is working with a new contractor who's come on board, and they are talking through what are the different challenges. And so this is the original script was, what challenges are they facing? And these are homes that are maybe have been repossessed. And they have to, this company's job is to bring them up to standard so they can be sold on today's real estate market. So it's to enhance curb appeal. All right. So that's their job. And so there's very specific standards they have to meet. The lawn actually had to be a certain level of height. The edges of the lawn had to be trimmed with an edger, not any other equipment. I mean, there were very specific things so you see as you watch through the linear video that was given, that I started with. It's a long linear video, but there are decision points in them that are based around these decisions, these particular types of things that they're training on. So I would stop the video at that point, add in the decision. So, you go for, do you use an edger? Do you use your lawnmower? Or do you use your cutting blades? And if you choose incorrectly, of course, it's mastery loop again. Okay. And when you choose correctly, it just goes on. So, of course, the challenge when working with live video, generally, is there's no consequences available, because when they filmed that original live footage, nobody thought about, what would happen if they just straight through
the whole thing and give it to you.
Exactly. So in those cases, I mean, you have to work with what you have, and I'm not going to fake out, and, so I just use voiceover narration to give a description as to why that doesn't work, and then just, hey, basically it's kind of like, hey, that's not quite right. Try something else. So you just urge them to try something else, and eventually they'll choose the right thing. When they do choose the right thing, it's natural for the story to progress. And I think what was challenging about this video was that when videos come to you like this, they are not a story format. Right. I mean, it's a linear progression of operational procedures that need to happen, and someone is instructing someone else. I had to create a story feeling to bookend it on the beginning and the end. And what I did, particularly at the beginning, that was the most important I borrowed what Martin Percy, who's a famous director, he's an interactive video director that I follow. So he has a couple of interactive videos that are out there, most notably Lifesaver, and then another one, Real Talk About Suicide. So I borrowed his methods. At the beginning, I wanted to give the person who was viewing it the sense that they were that character, just a little bit of a character, because you know that you're not that character. Right. But you have to let the person feel that they are part of this story somehow. So at the very beginning, you see the interaction between the trainer and trainee, and then I freeze the frame and then like focus in on this guy, the trainee. It's your first day on the job. Right. It's your first day as a contractor, you know, with this company, and you just make the training instructor. You're feeling a bit nervous. What do? You know, and then it goes on, and so then you've now identified yourself as this is you. You are the person who has to make these decisions. And as you make the decisions, you see your score going up and down based on if you made choose correctly the first time. Right. So there's a little bit of assessment going on, but you know, you're really not penalized for it if you guess incorrectly. So you can make mistakes. You can make mistakes in a safe place, right. But there is tracking going on in case the company wants to actually track this in an LMS. They can. I mean, I don't think it's necessary. So, you know, at the end, you're told what your score is, and you see a rating chart. I mean, you know, green is good. That means you scored correctly the first time on each of those decisions. You scored correctly the first time, you get green. And then, you know, it goes all the way down to red. You know, you didn't score any right. And so then you can give them a call to action at the end, whatever it is the client wants. But yeah, so I think live video is interesting because it really works if the client has already got live video that lends itself to this sort of thing. I mean, you can create any type of training out of live video, but there's certain types that work better than others. And that was a particular one that I thought worked really well.
There's a bonus section to this conversation, and it's all about how I transitioned into the field of instructional design and eventually decided to specialize in interactive video. As soon as that video is available, you'll see it on the screen here.